Shantogen.
Bienvenidos mi gente and welcome to another video. This right here, normally these runs don't make it. I record all my runs in case I have a good one because the one time I didn't, it ended up being my PB. But I wanted to show you guys because it was pretty interesting, albeit a slow run. Don't worry, it's not the full run. I'll be cutting in and out, but hopefully you guys enjoy. And yeah, I'll see you guys at the end of the video. So originally, I was going to actually just play, my live reaction commentary, but sadly, it didn't really record very well. I was whispering for most of the shot there, so it's going to be a post commentary. As you can see, I picked up Demon Lore because it's the best of the options that I currently had. And this first part wasn't too bad. I always like going mainly grenades at the start, but the problem is just quantity, right? Unless you get really lucky with your first ascension that allows you to basically get free grenades every once in a while, it's not a very viable one. But as you can see here, I didn't. I ended up picking up Precise Explosion and going on to the next level. So if we fast forward through this chest a bit, we get to the next chest, which I got nothing. I ended up going for Adrenaline Rush because it was just the most useful out of the useless bunch. Then we go on and get the next ascension in the bunch, which again is also relatively useless, but the Saint's Fire is not that bad, all things considered. However, I'm not off to a very good start. You can see that I'm now using Laser Glove because it was just something that if you end up getting, which I did in this run, the Golem, it's good to have him to have the Laser Glove. It's easy to burn him down relatively quickly, though I still ended up taking more time than I would have liked killing him. Meanwhile, the next thing we get is probably going to be our last ascension before the boss, I think. I could be wrong. I'm watching this in real time, but we get actually a couple of good ones. I could have gone for Mad Bomber. I ended up going for Grenade Master because at this point I felt like that would have been the better option because I was trying to focus on getting, my grenades up. Obviously, we do end up getting him, and I do see a mortar here, so I pick up the mortar just because I know that in the long run, especially if it becomes a defunct run because of how slow it's going, mortar is probably going to be more useful to me towards the end, and it does end up playing a part, though not this mortar specifically. I think I end up using a different one. I go for one enhance on the glove, one on the mortar, just to kind of even out the damage, and we'll end up popping up in here too the boss fight. The boss fight goes pretty much pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. Main goal here is just to make sure you hit that little center spot on him. He does his little thing. I'm going to laser him down, and it's pretty much rinse and repeat. I actually do think that the final kill is a grenade. I'm pretty sure that I was throwing grenades there at the end. Simple boss, but the key thing you want to see here is the time that it took me. 5 minutes and 4 seconds. That is a very long time for the first boss, but we did manage to get him down, and this is where I kind of further fell into a slow process, which was focusing on those grenades, even though I didn't really get the ascensions I needed, because I got, as you saw, the Spirit Bible, which is 120% skill damage, which definitely works. Ended up picking Sustained Fire here. Again, best of the worst. Not exactly what I'm looking for, but something better. Next, we're just going to quick fire through sand. There was really not a whole lot interesting, but we'll go over the ascensions that I ended up getting. Here I pick up Ammo Expert because really nothing else useful. Here I pick up Mad Bomber. That's actually useful. That'll help my explosions. Here I go for Adrenaline Rush. Again, nothing really useful. It's the best of the worst. And then we get to probably one of my least favorite bosses, the Wind God. At least for me, because it's not about shooting, it's about chugging, concealed ammo or grenades and stuff. And it's just very cumbersome. It moves too much. It's not a very, easy thing to try and lob shots to, especially when it's moving. Because some of its movements are low predictable, others are unpredictable. And then you have to deal with all the tornadoes and the sand twisting pits. It's just a pain, but rightfully so. We down it with it's not too much of an issue. I did end up realizing towards the end that my concealed ammo was definitely doing more damage than my grenades. I think this was the point where I realized that the grenade tactic is pretty much the boat has sailed for the most part. Um, it, I'm starting to realize that it's just not going to work. I ended up picking close call here simply because, again, best of the worst, did not get what I needed out of here. And I've pretty much, resigned to the fact that I'm going to have to just use weapons, and this is a non-submittable run. Or more accurately, a run that is, it's not going to beat any time, so it's not worth. Here is when I finally accept my fate and commit to, forgetting about the grenades. Otherwise, I would have gotten double explosions, but I decided, you know what, it's over. Let's just go with the AoE damage. I'm going to pick up explosion enhancement and try to salvage what little is left of this run at this point. On the very next chest, I end up getting precise explosion, which is not bad. I don't like it too much because a lot of times I'm doing more damage to multiple things, but it's pretty decent for bosses. Which brings us to the last chest right before the boss. As you can see, I do not go for Grenade Master and go for Sustained Fire because at this point, grenades mean nothing to me. Sustained Fire is actually more useful. As I get kills, it will increase my damage, which not so much for bosses, but definitely works for this scenario. Now, this next clip, I'm going to play as, well, not as is. I'm probably going to speed it up for you. But I just want you to appreciate here for a moment just how long this battle takes. I'm always frustrated whenever I get Serpent, because Serpent for me is by far just the most inconsistent fight for me. I can never get a really good salvo on it. Like, Serpent is either A, you do enough damage to kill it almost instantaneously, or B, it ends up just a gamble. And as you can see, yeah, I got a hit there. I got 2 hits there. Great. Oh, look, I wasted. Chugged some couple grenades because concealed ammo doesn't go that far. A couple more grenades, just dodging attacks, and I'm just pecking him with damage. And this goes on. It goes on. Me wasting, as you can ultimately see, I end up running out of ammo several times throughout this fight, to the point that I actually bust out the mortar and start using the mortar to be able to attack him. I mean, this battle frustrates the hell out of me. It really, really does. Because there's no consistent way, at least for me as Dog, to be able to properly do this quickly unless I have just buku damage. I would much rather face Boat than I would face the Serpent. It's just how it is for me. That being said, I mean, just look at how long this has been going for and at the speed that it's going at. Yeah, it took me this long to be able to beat the Serpent. However, this is what we ultimately end up choosing for our last ascension prior to Act 4. And for that, there's no surprises here. I end up getting Explosion Enhancement 2 to be able to, spread my damage a little further, which is definitely going to help in Act 4 for sure. Now, Act 4 Ascension chests work a little differently. They only have one option. Thankfully, I got Explosion Enhancement 3, so, that was actually a little bit lucky, and it definitely made the back half of this at least a little shorter, and I could start cutting into that 4-minute deficit you see there on the timer run. Even with that, though, it still was a relatively slow form. I think I was still roughly 4 minutes behind by the time I killed the last boss. It was horrible. So I did kind of look out for my last 2 ascensions. I ended up getting that, and then the Precise Explosion, which again are both very decent ones to have, especially for a boss. Precise Explosion is definitely going to increase the amount of damage there. I do pick up against the flow. A little bit earlier, I think I skipped over it. I actually made sure that I had the Gemini for both these weapons because it's a different order. And we go into the final boss. And this one doesn't take too long because, again, I have the explosion, I have the mortar, very high level mortar that I think is plus 11 at this point. So it's very simple, go in, chugging, and just end up peppering him. I have Spirit Feline, so I'm not too concerned about damage he can deal me, because no instance of damage can do more than 14% of my HP. So as long as I'm staying on top, I can just sit there, spam. We're already looking at on phase 2, and I'm not speeding this up not one bit. So, boom, we already got that down. He's almost completely down. He goes into the center. I don't even bother dodging the damn circles. I try jumping over them. If I can jump it, great. If I don't, doesn't matter. But he goes into his DPS check phase, and as easy as she wrote it, that is the end of that run. Simple and done. But, you know, that's typically a normal run. This one ended up being 4 minutes 19 slower than my previous, sort of my personal best. My actual personal best was 1925, so it's about 5 minutes slower than that. But, you know, it is what it is. I just wanted to share this, guys, with you because a lot of these runs, they don't end up getting shown. So I figured it'd be nice for you to maybe just have a gander and see what typically happens most runs. You guys see in the speed run just a small fraction of percent of the run itself, or how many runs that we do, simply because that's just the nature of the beast, right? Not every run we're going to do is going to be the best. Not every run's going to be able to be submitted. It's only a very small fraction of it. But sometimes it's good to, you know, just see what a typical run is. Sometimes RNG doesn't work in your favor. This one definitely did not work in mine. I just did not have the scrolls and the ascensions to be effective in my damage. However, I did go ahead and do your typical ending where you go into your player information and display everything. That being said, I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you liked it, please like it. If you'd like to see more of this, subscribe. I got a couple of videos in the works planned, and I really do hope that you guys just have a wonderful rest of your day if you're watching this. And as we say down here, hasta mañana.